The Real Thing, April 13th, 2023. Be careful not to fall into the trap of imagining that your surf related goal is just a few minutes away from you. This sort of expectation, which a few generations ago would have sounded completely nonsensical, has become standard in the past 25 years or so and reflects a cultural phenomenon that influences modern human behavior in general. In a large array of fields today, people with insufficient knowledge about a particular subject are at risk of being prompted to believe that they can learn their way around that new reality easily, whenever they feel like and regardless of their background. With respect to the surf environment, that is especially problematic on those beaches whose shores favor higher amounts of energy in transit and where the beach dynamics is rougher. Hiring a talented performer and following his/her advice doesn't mean much, as current teaching models are inappropriate to a significant extent. They are designed to fulfill that short term expectation and for this reason can't fully address the environmental complexity. Please don't get me wrong. From a pedagogical point of view, people can choose to nurture pretty much any desire they have regarding the surf zone, but they must be aware that the path for the learning is long and that at many moments it will require approaches that differ quite radically from what most people have in mind. Aspiring learners also need to understand that the extent to which they can achieve their intentions is limited by individual constraints, among others, biological and behavioral factors such as age, biotype, fitness level, background, mindset, etc., regulate how close their future performances might ever come to the stereotypes with which we are unconsciously instilled by society's subliminal daily stimuli. The educational message here is our own way, we can do anything. In the following chapters, we will study strategies to turn your learning process into an organic one. This will make it sensitive to the several pedagogical demands that the surf environment naturally imposes upon us, and will also make us aware of our vulnerability regarding the environment. Reboot, April 18th, 2023. Expert observation of everyday surf goers allows us to realize how different today's practitioners behave in comparison to practitioners from anterior eras. In a seductive reality where we are encouraged to chase quick results, it is virtually impossible to learn anything in the surf today as people were used to in the past. Focusing on the outcome is the norm now. And no matter what it is that attracts your attention, I am sure you will find a service provider to fit your desire. And here we find ourselves chained to an infinite loop. 1. Technology has brought us unprecedented levels of comfort, resources, and free time. Things seem easier and closer at hand. Number 2. An industry of services has blossomed to satisfy this craving for whatever our imagination comes up with. Whoever makes us feel the results first wins. Number 3. Unless you dare to awaken early adopters from a new early market, expectations must be fulfilled as they are, and what the masses expect converges to the stereotypes promoted by the dominant culture, reinforcing the mentality of quick results. Our modern way of life has led us into a sense of emptiness, loneliness, and anxiety, moved by the apparent impression that in the blink of an eye we can get anything we want. We seek for things and alternatives to give us meaning, to make us feel like we belong to a tribe, to help us build self esteem, and self confidence through a sense of purpose. But the problem is that we have been culturally spoiled into unconsciously relating these searches with that mentality of quick results. This is very damaging to long term life investments, as in many cases, our minds jump way ahead into abusing what we could consider reasonably achievable in so short period of time and in such a superficial manner. By doing so, even a short run horizon becomes no longer acceptable, as we have entered a frenetic, non declared pursuit after instant satisfaction. This demonstrates how detached from common sense we have become and evidences our total unawareness of the complexity involved in the reality of the thing that we want to experiment or learn. The work to be undertaken must dig much deeper than anything we can imagine. We must know our limits and pay the environment the respect it deserves. For that reason, I point out the importance of shifting the fundamentals of our approach towards whatever practice appeals to us in the surf environment. We will delve into the motor intricacies of the practice itself at some point, but the biomechanical aspect of it must not be examined unaccompanied by a thoroughly anthropological study of how practitioners' profile evolved since the dawn of the considered surf-related practice. By studying the pioneers, we will develop the necessary education to know better than to fall for the quick results temptation. The fundamentals must remain. May 2nd, 2023. If things come easy, there is no effort involved. The individual remains within his/her comfort zone and no special skills are required. Back in the day, when Western civilization first saw Polynesian natives interacting with the surf, it was nothing but an extremely profound relationship between the ocean and the natives, who worshipped and celebrated nature as part of their daily routines. Those communities lived by the beach and had their lives paced by the tides, the seasons, and the waves. They held spiritual rituals on a regular basis, nurtured a deep respect and connection to the land and the surf. From the trees, they would craft wood planks to catch waves. Sizes differed depending on the role of the native in the community, and from the cradle, they were exposed to the sounds of the moving waters, the smells of the ocean mist, the sensation of the sea breeze, and the joy that the beach sand represents to the infant mind. True intimacy with the environment was an inevitable result of their lifestyle. This is a fundamental feature for whoever intends to master a given set of skills in an environment whose regulatory conditions are dynamic. These kinds of environments define a category known as open or wild environments. While it is much easier to stabilize the mind and focus one's attention in a closed or tamed environment, wild environments are unmerciful and will harm those who lack the necessary knowledge of their dynamics. With the dissemination of Polynesian culture in the Western world, several groups and generations of Occidental youngsters began to undergo cultural contexts wherein a similar sort of natural intimacy with the surf would also unfold from their childhood habits. This process led to the rise of non-Hawaiian surfers, and for a very long time the learning of surfing remained based on environmental exposition and natural selection. While for many decades being in the shoes of an aspiring surfer meant dealing with constant intimidation, fear, and uncertainty, trying the sport today is a completely different ballgame. Kindness is in the air. Unrestrictedly and worldwide, the notorious wild reality of the past has shifted into an unforeseen, soft atmosphere, and the natural, indirect aspect of the learning has been transformed to fit contemporary culture. We are now after unrealistic expectations. Toughness is no longer necessary, so today a much broader audience cultivates the dream of becoming a surfer. Short term thinking and the idea that there is no loss in employing technology to overcome the difficulties of the past are two great dangers in this situation. People that are thirsty for immediate goals will do what it takes to get to where they want, and with this mindset, they become very susceptible to being swept away by what everybody else is doing. Unfortunately, we are failing to pass on to the next generations the regard that native Polynesians and non Hawaiian surfers from previous generations had for the wild aspect of the surf environment. We must make it clear to society that recreating from this natural sanctuary may cause more harm than good if done in denial of its real power, and that no one should be left oblivious to this subject matter.